problem is sometimes I say all that I mean.
See, I still can't get over the fact that they clearly cut him off, and he's just like bruise and ferments.
Rich frothy lather.
Yeah. So Amber, you mentioned about Joe being cut off, and I'm just imagining he's got like a full staff of people, just like making hand
shooing
gestures
him
to
away
him
from
behind the room.
booth. Yeah.
All right. Another thing he mentioned that's pure Joe Biden, and I'm sure should play well. Joseph R. Biden Jr. defending himself on Tuesday night against this is from the New York Times. On Tuesday night, against suggestions that he is, quote, too old-fashioned for today's Democratic Party, invoked two Southern segregationist senators by name as he fondly recalled the civility of the Senate in the 1970s and 80s.
That's the Biden touch.
Speaking at a fundraiser at the Carlisle Hotel, Mr. Biden, 76, stressed the need to be able to reach consensus under our system and cast his decades in the Senate as a time of relative comity. His remarks come as some in the party say that Mr. Biden is too focused on overtures to the right as he seeks the Democratic presidential nomination. At the event, Mr. Biden noted that he served with the late Senators James O. Eastland of Mississippi and Herman Talmadge of Georgia, both Democrats who were staunch opponents of desegregation. Mr. Eastland was the powerful chair of the Senate Judiciary Committee when Mr. Biden entered the chamber in 1973.
Entered the 36th chamber.
I was in a caucus with James O. Eastland, Mr. Biden said, slipping briefly into a Southern accent. According to
he's like sipping a sarsaparilla.
I do declare.
Wait a minute. He went off stage to put on a seersucker suit? What's happening here? He's fanning himself with a Panama hat?
This Biden is wilted.
According to a pool report from the fundraiser, he said, quote, he never called me boy. He always called me son.
Does he know who they call boy?
Yeah.
Does he know what that is referring to?
Yeah.
He's a white man. That wouldn't be in the cards.
I don't know. Yeah. You know what? He doesn't know what's going on.
I looked this up, and the guy James O. Eastland, there are some unbelievable quotes from this guy about, I can't even read it on the show, but I'll just say they include the phrases inferior race, the right of any white man to kill by gun, bow and arrow, rock, or knife anyone who threatens white supremacy. So,
bow and arrow?
Yeah.
He would be canceled nowadays, to say the least.
Yeah.
He called Mr. Talmadge one of the meanest guys I ever knew. Go down all the list of these guys. Well, guess what, Mr. Biden continued? At least there was some civility. We got things done. We didn't agree.
What things?
We didn't agree.
Please name a thing that you got done with the psycho-segregationists.
We didn't agree on much of anything. We got things done. We got it finished. I guess he means segregation, but certainly not with these guys.
Finished?
He goes, but today, you look at the other side, and you're the enemy, not the opposition, the enemy. We don't talk to each other anymore. And then this just came in just like right before I got here. And it says here, this is from CNN, Biden had been previously warned by advisors not to use Eastland as an example of someone he could work with.
He's going off script. He shoots from the hip.
Despite many sharp disagreements, two people familiar with the matter said Wednesday, he needs to use a new, less problematic example, one person close to Biden told CNN.
He also have to accept when everyone tells him that no one is burning toasts. We don't know what he's talking about. There's no one burning toast around him.
So, here's the thing about Biden. It just seems to me like he said, it's just going to Joe being Joe the whole time, and he knows that he has the support of basically all of the upper echelons of the Democratic Party apparatus. He's their guy. He's promising that they want to hear to the donors and everything, which is, again, no one will be punished. There are no enemies.
Yep.
You're all good with us. Nothing will fundamentally change.
Yep.
Most importantly, not your quality of life. You won't have to stop buying yachts or
certainly not
swimming and pools
you won't
of
have to
caviar.
release any of your slaves.
The child zoo will remain open.
Yes.
The standard of the children in the child zoo will remain the same.
Yes.
They will be high quality, well fed.
Yeah.
They will be well fed and well taken care of. They will have good child habitats that are natural for them.
Yes.
They won't just be in cages.
No.
I mean, the illegal immigrant ones, they'll be in cages for sure.
But the child zoo, they'll be able to run around.
They'll have they'll have a pool.
Well, you can't let the meat can't get stringy is the thing. That's what happens when they're too tightly encased.
like I said before I leave Biden, I just like Nando found these two clips of when Biden, I guess, was more lucid than he is now. This is when he was still sharp, and I just really want to play Joe Biden on raves because he's got a problem with them. So this is Joe Biden.
I would be passing new ordinances relating to stiff criminal penalties for anyone who held a rave. The promoter, the guy who owned the building. I would put the son of a gun in jail. I would change the law. There's no doubt about where these raves are. In the middle of the desert. Arrest the promoter. Find a rationale unrelated to drugs. Keeping an unsafe, for example. I'm the guy who authored the crack house legislation. We can use the crack house legislation to tear down these buildings.
These buildings in the desert.
He wants to see a perp walk with a guy holding glow sticks and a Cat in the Hat. Like, that's what he wants more than anything.
Mugshots with guys with pacifiers in their mouth.
Wait, just one more clip of Joe Biden talking about raves.
In rare cases, under the law that exists federally, you can literally bulldoze down their business. I'm looking forward to the first time I see it happen. Great big bulldozer, just bulldoze it down. Literally, not figurative.
Doesn't he know those warehouses are the last vestiges of American manufacturing left in this country?
That he got denied entry to a club somewhere. That's the only thing they could explain.
He got turned away from Berghain.
Yeah,
he got turned away from Berghain.
How can
just
you
like
have
we
this
did.
much just vituperative hatred for just a bunch of people like staring at their hands while listening to drum and bass?
Not only that,
this.
Virgil reminded me of this. Like in addition, like in that clip, you hear Joe Biden say, I authored the crack house legislation. I made it illegal for the police to just raise buildings with people inside of them if they're selling drugs. No, in addition to all of Joe Biden's other horrendous, hyper acceleration of the war on drugs, even past what Ronald Reagan and George H.W. Bush wanted to do. So, after crack ceased to be, a terror for middle class families in America, a few kids died of ecstasy overdoses, and Joe was back at it with this rave bullshit. And Virgil actually reminded me that part of one of these rave acts that he passed, and again, you heard his own voice, he said, charge the promoters, make up something unrelated to drugs, just charge them.
Throw pacifiers on the ground.
Well, yeah.
Doesn't this guy realize that if funky beats are outlawed, only outlaws will have funky beats?
Here's how anti-funky beats this rave act that Joe Biden had his fucking filthy fingers in was that if you ran a party in which you did any harm mitigation to deal with someone who maybe OD'd
or like testing
or testing
to
make sure it's not poison or whatever then you would be held liable for the selling of drugs in that thing, and they would throw the fucking book at you.
Yeah.
You could get hit with
Just the smartest possible approach.
Yeah,
to drug
exactly.
policy.
Like anything that might actually prevent people from ODing on drugs, which is what all these fucking middle class parents
if
are
you
also
put them
afraid
in jail, no one will do them anymore. That's just how it works. We know that by now.
Yeah, that's Joe Biden. And I'd just like to point this out, though. I bring up the rave stuff. Again, thanks to Nando for sourcing these. It's just in stark contrast to our girl Marianne.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And just, she wakes up every day, goes to a sober rave. Doesn't need drugs, but she is pro-funky
She gets high on
beat.
life.
Right.
She's high on
And
life.
orbs.
The orbs are pulsating, positive energy. Joe Biden is like, if Joe Biden sees an orb, he's like, bulldoze it.
Yeah.
Shoot it immediately.
Basically, imagine it like Marianne is in her sober life. That's like sort of Smurf Village, and Biden is Gargamel, just trying to destroy all the pleasant fun that all of the community-minded Smurfs are having.
Just, I guess my last thought on Joseph R. Robinette Biden. Again, it's like early. It seems like he's leading some polls. I mean, who the fuck knows what's going to happen? Like I said, I must exit from making confident predictions about anything that's going to happen. But it is so hard for me. Like this guy has been on the wrong side of literally every issue that matters to every single constituency that makes up the Democratic primary voting electorate.
Yeah.
It's inconceivable
Means
to me.
testing, cutting entitlements, war on drugs, mass incarceration, war in Iraq, everything.
I mean, the only thing he's got going for him is that we put it on stage when we were on Dublin, that pathetic friendship bracelet with Barack Obama, where he's just like, hey, I'm the guy you like, I'm friends with him.
I'm BFFs.
And I don't know. I mean, like, I guess if you want to take this guy down, I mean, go at fucking Obama's record too. I mean, I mean, it's hard for me to say what.
Either the thing is,
it's hard for me to.
That's the thing about Democratic primary voters is that they love Obama.
It's
Well, I wrote an article about
You
this
did,
that
Amber.
had a handy dandy list of things to go after Joe Biden for. So check thebaffler.com for that. It's pretty easy. He's disgusting, and if that doesn't work, let's just keep like sliding him drinks. Just keep buying him drinks.
That's the thing.
He's
is,
gonna
like,
shoot from the hip.
He will only keep fucking up. That's really the best sort of thing to keep.
We just
in
need to
heart.
encourage him.
Yeah, is that
Like,
is
they
that
don't know what they're doing,
'cause-
Joe. You know what you're doing.
Exactly. 'cause
Wing it, buddy. I believe in you.
He's paying people to look him in the eye and say, "Don't mention arch segregationists in a positive light," and he's like, "Gotcha." James O. Eastland was at my daughter's wedding, and I love him more than anything.
I mean, we talked about how he gave fucking Strom Thurmond's eulogy at his fucking funeral.
Yeah.
Dude, he's gonna start talking about how hot George Wallace's wife was.
Yeah, Lurleen,
Another fun
folks. If you saw Lurleen Wallace,
Yeah.
oh my God, she could stop a clock.
She had gams for days, folks. No joke. No joke. When Uncle Joe joked to you? So I want to
Literally.
Remember, there's only one true Uncle Joe.
Well, unfortunately, he's not walking through that door, Amber. He's not walking through that door, Amber. You know, we
need
gotta
him
deal with
now
what we
more
have.
than ever.
And what we have is, I'd like to moving on now from
Where
Biden.
have you gone, Joseph Jugashvili?
So moving on from Joe, let's talk about the other Democratic candidate who is quite honestly heating up. And I mean, she's rising in the polls, and she's beginning to look more and more like a serious challenger, and that is Elizabeth Warren. And I got to talk about Liz Warren because I feel like we've said this on the show, or we've been hinting at this. I know, Matt, you've been on this tip for a while now, but I think like it really needs to come to the fore now that Elizabeth Warren, for whatever admirable qualities you may see in her personally or her campaign or any of the policies or plans that she is so, eloquently championing, it has to be said that,
She is a massive dork.
well, it's not that she's a dork, but like, okay.
No, I really think, and I'm standing by this, she is a dork, and that is incredibly important. Like, if you think that her policies are more likely to appeal to people than Bernie's, I disagree, but that's one thing. But fundamentally, she is a terrible, terrible candidate. She blinks, she flinches every time. She cannot win. I have no idea why she's still running. It is deeply embarrassing to watch.
Well, she's running because she's coming on pretty strong in all these polls.
Yeah, blip. I think it's a blip.
Okay, well, okay.
We're of two minds about this on Chapo. I am of the we got to watch out for Biden because that drunk has been blessed with luck somehow. And then other people are more worried about Warren.
See,
I don't think anyone who doesn't own a Prius gives a shit about
but
Elizabeth
the thing is,
Warren.
I don't think that that's mutually exclusive. I think I don't think that it's more likely that Warren's going to get the nomination than Bernie. She's going to deny Bernie the nomination, then Biden gets it. So they're both
You're
to be
possibly
concerned for.
okay. I agree with that.
I do want to point out that Biden is notoriously a teetotaler. He does not drink at all.
Okay, well, I don't believe it.
Okay, great. In terms of that,
I don't believe
Who
it.
else doesn't?
Donald
Donald
Trump.
Trump, yeah. But Donald Trump has never drank, right?
I think Biden's the same.
No way.
He had a drunk dad. One of the classic Irish dry drunks because his dad was a drunk.
Oh,
So he's like
okay.
Joseph B. Kennedy, also a teetotaler.
Yeah.
Okay.
It didn't stop him from selling it,
Sorry. Correction. Update. Joe Biden, not an alcoholic.
Fine.
He just seems that. Okay. So back to Warren. Like, okay, you'll see where I'm getting with this. But like, if you are on the fence maybe and listening to the show about Warren versus Sanders, what are we to make of this article that came out in Politico today? Headline: Warren emerges as potential compromise nominee. Centrists who once said the senator would lead the party to ruin are coming around her as an alternative to Bernie Sanders. The article begins. There was a time not so long ago when leading Democrats warned that Elizabeth Warren's, quote, fantasy-based blue state populism risked leading the party to ruin. But in a revealing tell of how far her campaign has come since its early February launch, some unlikely voices in the center of the party are growing more comfortable with the idea of Warren as the nominee.